Welcome back to Daily FAFO, where we break down the latest in politics, culture, and everything in between. Today, we're diving into a new piece of legislation, sponsored by South Carolina Representative Nancy Mace, that's stirring up controversy across the nation. Mace has introduced a federal bill aiming to ban transgender women from competing in women's sports. She argues this legislation is necessary to ensure fairness in women's athletics, claiming that biological men do not belong in women's competitions. Her proposal has garnered strong support from prominent Republican lawmakers, including Marjorie Taylor Greene, who view the bill as a way to protect women's spaces and opportunities. But not everyone agrees. Critics, including LGBTQ+ advocates and Democratic lawmakers like Sarah McBride, argue that this is part of a broader attack on transgender rights. McBride described the bill as a manufactured culture war, accusing its supporters of politicizing transgender identities rather than addressing pressing issues like housing, healthcare, and education. Advocacy groups also emphasize the harmful impact of such legislation on transgender youth, warning it could increase stigma and mental health challenges for an already vulnerable group. Meanwhile, public opinion remains sharply divided, with some applauding the bill as necessary for fairness, while others see it as a step backward for equality and inclusion. Let's watch the following clips.
The radical left is calling me an extremist for being a feminist, fighting to protect the rights of women and girls. If being a feminist makes me an extremist or a bigot or a monster, I am totally here for it, because I'm going to fight like hell for every woman and every little girl across this country to protect you and keep you safe.
A very interesting question. So the height of hypocrisy, the height of gaslighting, they're threatening to kill me now because I, as a woman, am standing up to protect other women from men being in our private spaces, our restrooms, bathrooms, locker rooms, changing rooms, you name it. And so now they're threatening to kill me over this. I'm being bullied online. But what they forget is that, Laura, I'm the first woman to graduate from the Citadel, the Military College of South Carolina. I will not be bullied into silence. I will not back down. And in fact, I'm going to double down on this. And I'm going to file even more legislation to protect women beyond the Capitol, across every state in the nation. Because the simple question is, do women have rights or not? It's a very simple question.
Now, Rep-elect Sarah McBride responded to your resolution saying this is a blatant attempt from far right-wing extremists to distract from the fact they have no real solutions to what Americans are facing. We should be focused on bringing down the cost of housing, health care, child care, not manufacturing culture wars. Your response?
This is not manufactured. This is a person who's threatened to come into women's private spaces. And I'm a survivor of rape, sexual violence, and abuse. And I know how deeply vulnerable women are in places where we feel we have a right to privacy. And this is not okay. If you're a biological man, if you're born a man, you use the men's restroom. You don't invade our privacy. You don't come into women's private spaces. This is not a thing. I will die on this hill. It will not happen on my watch. This is a fight worth fighting for. And I'm going to fight to protect every woman in Congress, every staffer, every employee, every woman and girl across the country. They didn't learn anything from November 2 weeks ago. And women's issues were on the ballot, and conservatives are now feminists. It's wild. It's insane that this is even up for debate. It's not up for debate. And Sarah McBride,
one thing, yeah, I'm sorry, but one thing I know the left will say in response to what you just said is, well, it's horrific that you were subjected to any abuse or assault, any of it. But are you intimating that this new congressman-elect would somehow assault you in the bathroom? That would be the argument.
The idea of a man walking into a locker room where I'm changing is actually, it feels like assault. I am a victim. I have PTSD from the trauma that I have endured at the hands of a man. And I'm going to stand in the way solidly of any guy that wants to come into our spaces. And guess what? Sarah McBride doesn't get a say in this. And I'm not gonna succumb or be silenced by bullies online or by the radical left. They lost big. And I'm going to push back harder than ever before. Well, it's sad and surprising that in 2024, I have to go on TV and on social media to explain to the radical left that men shouldn't be allowed in women's restrooms, that women shouldn't be forced to undress in front of men. I'm a rape survivor, and I know how vulnerable women are in personal and private spaces. And I'm going to make sure that I protect all women and girls. And there are a lot of women out there, millions of women across the country who agree with me. but they're afraid to come forward because of the way that the radical left acts, the threats that we've been receiving hundreds a day. It's unsafe. I've been accosted several times over the last several days by folks in public. The left is totally off the rails on this just because women don't want to be forced to undress in front of men.
Right.
So what is this?
This says you can't erase us, Nancy. Well, then you shouldn't try to erase women. That's what I have to say for any man that wants to be in a woman's restroom, bathroom, dressing room, locker room. Absolutely not.
What do you think? Is this legislation a step toward fairness in sports, or does it unfairly target transgender athletes? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more updates. This is Daily FAFO, where we bring you the stories that matter. See you next time.